My name is Levy, and I've been an art teacher since I was 20, so the styles have been varied as I've lived my life for the last 57 years of doing art. And my styles are in ceramics and sculpture, and also in painting, a little bit of jewelry.
And my name is Bezalel, and my background is I studied film, documentary film, including propaganda, which is very, and a lot of my work is narrative, and I work in series. Some of these projects last 20 years and 30 years. And I work in collaboration with Yona as well as individually. I did not begin in the plastic arts, including painting and sculpture, until about 15 years ago. And basically, I didn't like to get my hands dirty, but I finally realized this is doing me no good. And so I took it upon myself as a form of therapy, and it's worked.
Because of being a teacher, I am continually being formally trained, because I learned even in Israel, we had what they called continuing education classes that were required by their teachers. And I was always wanting to take workshops no matter what, because then I could stop doing the regular routine of taking care of house or kids or whatever. So I started that very young in life, and I continue even though I'm still teaching. Whenever there's something that I want to do and learn, I'll sign up for it.
I'm exactly the opposite. I am what's called an autodidact. I went to a speech therapist because I had a slight lisp, and she taught me how to do it properly. I never took it on. I have my own way of saying my S's. I basically I feel that I invent everything I do, and if I wasn't the first person to come upon it, that doesn't matter. It's still mine if I come upon it myself. When I came to Israel with my 2 suitcases and $1,100 cash on a one-way ticket, and I was very poor after having made so much money as a stockbroker, and so I was able to get a mortgage, a subsidized mortgage, and buy an apartment in Ashkelon, in a fourth floor walk-up, where all of our neighbors were also immigrants, but from Morocco and Tunisia. And they hooked us up with pirate cable, and we had an old black and white TV. And sometimes the cable didn't work, so we only got either the top half or the bottom half of the movie. So to this day, if that movie is played again, I'm not sure whether I've seen it before. In any case, what happened was that during, as I mentioned in the video, that during a heat wave called the Hamsin, we started bringing in Cairo TV. When we started getting these movies, I went and grabbed my camera and started photographing the TV set. So it's several generations away from reality. You have the filming, and then the photograph. You have the acting, the filming, the photograph. Yona was not interested in joining me in this project.
I've had enough soap opera in our own lives.
For a couple of years, but ultimately she did. And so I would take these big sheets of rice paper, and one day I had this idea to I had taken a picture of the shuk, the outdoor market in Ashkelon, which actually was right outside this minaret which was there, and I took a picture and I brought it, and I went to the local photographer and put it through a copy machine. I put rice paper through a photocopy machine, and I brought it home to Yona on the 4th floor, and I said, "Can you paint this while I take out the garbage?" And so I left it with her. I went down the 4th floors, took out the garbage, came back, and lo and behold, she's quick.
I have to be.
And so in any case, And I started going around door to door because in the wealthier sections of town, and they started selling it. Every night I would sell a few of these things. Then I decided to go big, and so I took some big, and I found these commercial photocopy machines, and I liked actually breaking down the image. You know, the photocopy is always fairly crude. It's always very, very contrasty, but you can even make it into golf ball size grain and stuff like that. And I always liked 16 millimeter films blown up to 35 millimeter where you see the grain. It's beautiful. So anyway, and you can see the television, there's a lot of interference, I like degradation of image. Why? Because I can't do trompe l'oeil. I'm not trained. So I try to make it look, I did it on purpose. Although Yona painted these. This was before I actually lifted a paintbrush. So I gave it to Yona and she did a great job, I have to say. These are oil pastels and on big photocopies, run through big photocopy machines. And the real art was convincing the owner of the photocopy machine to let me run rice paper through it. One painting caught fire in the photo.
We came to this part of the world after we had been in Israel for 10 years and stayed about a year in New York, and then came west because he got custody of his younger sons. And my kids were out here starting to have grandchildren. So we plunked ourselves down at the end of Camino Island, and I was a substitute teacher up at the school while they were going to school, so I could get enculturated again. It had been 17 years since I had lived in this part of the world. So it was like being Rip Van Winkle, waking up. Everything was different, but the same. It was a very interesting phenomenon to reinculturate into America again. After 9/11, we were here 2 years, then 9/11 happened, and we just had decided to see how do you make a living as artists, and we drove all the way down to Tijuana on the coast. But we had a hard time pushing all the way down because we thought, maybe we'd have, we were post-traumatic stress from the horrendous 9/11. But we managed to make it all the way down, saw how a lot of artists lived up and down the coast, came back into town here, and this old house was for sale. And we hadn't noticed it before, but we noticed it this time as we were driving back, and we got onto the island, and we immediately turned the car around, came back, looked up the realtor, and it turned out he was a friend. And we started the buying process of this particular over 100-year-old house. So we were able to buy the house. And we kept the place at the end of the island for a summer home for a while, but we thought we would just use this house for our business and live down there. But as it turned out, we didn't like to commute the 17 miles. And we ended up living above the store, so to speak. And the minute that the workmen who finished the outbuildings walked away, students walked in. There was a ceramic teacher that had passed away the same month, and I got her students. So it was like a setup. And we had 8 shows for a whole lot of people that year, and we discovered we did not like being gallery people. We liked being studio people doing our own work. So we switched out of that, but not before doing 2 shows for the natives, that they are the hosts and we're the guests. So we were, at the time of coming back from the other side of the world, way more interested in the native tribes than we had been as
because we'd just come off the reservation.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we're having a show in another month in the gallery down the street, Dave Caceres Gallery, and it's going to be
NYC Return for Redemption.
Right.
They should contact me either at our email or on my phone, both of which you have.